Hey everybody, it's Brad with another Floriani Total Control U video for you today. Today we're going to talk about creating appliques, and we're going to do a kind of advanced applique. I've done some videos on making super simple appliques, where we actually use the applique tool to do that. And while that's certainly a way to make an applique, I'm going to show you how to make it for something that's a more complicated image than just a single line. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go ahead from my Floriani Today page, click on Create a New Design. You go ahead and do that too, and go up to your Shapes tool up here. Left click on that and choose Custom Shape up here. And we're just going to grab make sure you're on the folder Custom Shapes, and just grab literally any one of these will work. It doesn't matter what it is. You just bring in any shape from that, and if you want to make it bigger, you can, whatever. So this is what I mean by a really simple applique using the applique tool. We have our shape, which this shape is basically, even though it's filled in, it really is just, uncheck the fill from the properties here, and you can see this is really just a line. That's really all it is, and we can apply stitches to lines in this program. So if we go down here and we left click on the applique button, which is right here, left click on that, and it will make it an applique. And what makes it an applique is that it has first the applique material, where it goes and it runs out a spot. It runs out where the applique is going to go, so you can place your material down over top of this line, and then it sews out the applique position. Okay, and that locks the fabric down. After this step, you go and trim the excess material away from this line, and then it goes and puts the finishing top stitch down, all in one go. And that is, in a nutshell, how applique works. But it's a little more difficult to use this tool when you need to have the tack down and the placement lines in at a different time than you need the top stitch to go down. So a lot of the time you'll want to tack your fabric down and then have other stitches come down and make your actual design. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. And so if you don't understand exactly what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Just keep watching the video and you'll see what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and delete this butterfly. So a really good way to learn how to make any embroidery design, not just applique, but appliques I think in particular, is to find a picture of an existing applique design and try to replicate that. It's a really good way to learn the ideas behind how making an applique design works, and making an embroidery design in general works, because there will always be a way to replicate what you see, because somebody else did it in stitches, and as long as you have this program, at least, you can make anything out of stitches that you want to with the tools that you have here. So you can sit there and mess around with it until what you have is exactly like what you see in the picture. So what I did was I went ahead and did a Google search for Anna and Elsa applique embroidery designs, and I found this one. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do Elsa here in this video. We're just gonna worry about the one. So go ahead and just do a Google search for Anna and Elsa applique or something like that. You'll find it. Look under images and find the biggest version of this you can, which is what I did. It's like about 570 pixels. So find that one, download it, and you're going to use that as your backdrop. Of course, if you're in my class, I'll have this image on your CD for you. So this is what we're going to be digitizing off of, is this image, and I'm going to bring it up so that we can see it a little bit bigger here in a second, and we're going to talk about what the kinds of things that we think about when we go about digitizing this design. All right, so basically what we need to do is we're going to go in and use our backdrop tool here, because we're going to bring that picture in as a backdrop. So I'm going to left click on that, and let's see, I think I just named it Elsa and Anna or something, elsaanna.jpg. So open up Elsa Anna, or whatever you decide to name it when you download it. Bring up this image into your software, and we want to resize it a little bit too. I want her head to be about 5 inches from here to here. So you're going to resize that until this is about 5 inches. Let's see, that is just about 5 inches there. So that's pretty good. That's the size we'll go ahead and do this at. And let's go ahead and zoom in just on Elsa here. From Frozen, by the way, if anyone watching this isn't a parent. So let's take a look at her. So we've got 3 pieces or 4 pieces of material here. We've got this blue glittery material. We've got this kind of linen color for her hair, like a platinum blonde, and then the pale color for her skin. Everything else is embroidery on top of that. So we've got the blue, the kind of flesh tone, and the platinum blonde. So three different types of materials, and we've got about 4 placements we're going to do with that material. So the first thing you want to do when you look at making an applique is you want to decide what is going to layer on what. And here's where it can be helpful to have a photo of the existing applique design. For learning how to do this, because we can actually look at this and we can tell just by looking at it with our eyes what is layered upon what. So that can inform us when we go to create our own designs, how to figure out what should be layered on what. So let's take a look at this. We've got this. The flesh tone is underneath of both the hair and the blue stitching from the dress. And it's also underneath the hair on the top. And of course it's underneath, the detail of her face, the eyes and the eyebrows and the nose and such. So it looks like the first thing that needs to happen is we need to put down this flesh-colored piece of material. And here's where we would run into our first problem if we wanted to do this using the normal applique tool. Because if we drew in this shape, it's going to put a satin stitch down on top of all of our tack down stitches. And we don't want to have this color, this flesh color satin stitch be our top stitch for this edge, because the dress is that stitch, is that top stitch. So using the applique tool, there's not really a way to get rid of the top stitch. So we're going to do this manually with running stitches and steel stitches. That's what we're going to use. That's basically all that the applique tool does, is it makes the 2 run stitches and a steel stitch for the top stitch. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I think is what we want to have is a running stitch that goes all the way around here and maybe down here, or it could go straight across and back. Here it doesn't matter where the run stitch is because it's going to get overlapped, and then up and around. So that is going to hold down this whole flesh colored piece of material. So let's just get started and trace that in. Now I'm going to just use the line tool here, and it doesn't really matter where I start. And you also don't have to be super accurate or have perfect curves for this, because, and I'm just going to cut straight across here, because the top stitch is going to cover up this stitch. So we don't need to worry about, and I'm just going to hit backspace there. I'm going to cut right across to here. We don't need to worry about being super precise. As long as we're clicking on the inside of where the stitching is going to go, nobody's going to see this stitch anyway. So we're going around. Just like that. And then we're going to close our shape here. I'm going to hit Shift C. That'll close the shape off. And now I want to go ahead and pick a color. Another thing that I would like everyone to do is under your thread chart, hit that and choose embroidery as your thread chart. And that's because we have some colors in embroidery that are made to be the applique material, the applique position. these colors will tell the machine that what you're using is what you're doing is making an applique for these colors. So I'm going to left click on applique material for this one, and then I'm going to go ahead and make it a run stitch by left clicking on this icon down here. We'll left click on that and use just the default settings on your properties. Just don't change any of these. Those are all fine. If you want to, you can put it in 3D. It makes it a little bit easier to see what you've done so far. And so why did I do this as one piece and not as two pieces? Well, it's the same color fabric, and we can go ahead and this top stitch will come down here later and finish it off and make sure that it looks separated like it does in the artwork. But this saves us from having to do two separate positionings. So we've done that. Now we need the first one to come down, and that shows us where we put our fabric down when we actually go to sew this thing out. So the first thing that happens is it goes and sews out this to let us know where our fabric goes. We lay our fabric down over it, and then we're going to need another run stitch that's in basically the same spot. So what we want to do is copy and paste this. So we're going to hit the copy button up here and then hit paste. You can see over in our sequence view that now we've got two run stitches. We're going to change this one from material to position, and now we've got a color stop between here and here, so the machine will stop automatically between those things. And then are we going to just go ahead and copy and paste and put another satin stitch down? No, because we don't want to have this stitch here go down yet, and we don't want to have a stitch across here. So what we have to do is kind of build our own individual parts where our satin stitches are going to go. And so what we're going to use is the steel stitch to put in just this one and this one, this little part of it and this little part of it. Okay, that's the only things that are going to go down, because if you look, this stitch is kind of under this stitch. You see how this stitch overlaps this stitch? And same here. This stitch overlaps this stitch, right? So this has to go down before this or this, and it's the same with this one here. All right, so that's why we're going to do this and then this. Okay, so I'm going to start with my line tool because I find it easier to edit my lines when I've drawn them with the line tool. We're going to left click on that, and we're going to actually use the tools that we have for making perfect curves for this one. I'm going to start with a point here at the end. I'm going to left click there one time, and then right where the curve kind of changes direction, which is about there, I'm going to put in another left click, and then one at the very end, we're going to left click right about there. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to right click to generate this line. See how it's still ready for me to make another point. We're going to right click to get rid of that, and it selects what we've done. We're going to go and hit this icon here, which brings us into our shape tool. That allows us to shape our line by left clicking and dragging directly on it. That's going to allow us to make this curve exactly the way that it is in the artwork. I'm going to right click again, or actually no, I didn't even have to right click again. I'm going to go up to the select tool to select it like that, and now we hit the steel stitch tool, which is this one here. It looks like a fuzzy caterpillar. Left click on that, and it automatically makes our steel stitch. Let's go ahead and pick a color for this. I'll do let's say we'll do cream yellow for her flesh tone. Why not? Now, if we're still not satisfied with this, if we think that this can look better, we can always go back and re-edit our line. If we say, you know what, I want this to be down a little farther or anything like that, you can do that. And we also want to take note of where our start and our stop points are in this. So this design right now, the start point for this is here and our stop point is here. That's fine, okay, but we want to make sure that we don't have a jump stitch or a cut from here to our next line, which is going to go there. So what we want to do is make sure that we make a traveling stitch from here down to here. That way it doesn't have to stop and cut. So we're going to go and use our line tool and just draw from here, click, 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 and follow back down and we can actually stop that right about here. Okay, lovely. And go down and touch our run tool. That's going to make a traveling stitch go down to there. Now that's going to be covered up later by a satin stitch, and it's going to be covered up by our fabric and stuff here. So we can totally move there to get the stitch going down there. That way, you want to avoid, if you haven't been watching any of my videos recently, you want to avoid making unnecessary jump stitches and cuts when you're digitizing, basically. So that's going to do that for us there. Now we want another steel stitch from here to here. I'm going to use my line tool, and I'm going to click once here and once here, right click, and then use the shape tool icon in our selection box and pull that out and make our nice little curve. That's lovely. And we'll turn it into a steel stitch. Just so. Okay, so that's beautiful. Now, what's the next thing that needs to happen? Well, the hair that's coming down here is on top of the blue dress. So we want to make sure that we do our blue dress next and not the hair or the rest of this face. We want to make sure that we go ahead and do this blue dress. So how are we going to do this? Well, what we can do is go back to our line tool and draw in our applique material and position. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to follow this, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut out this part of the hair, because if you don't, then you'll actually be able to see this blue behind the hair. I found that out earlier when I was test digitizing this design. So we're going to do one click here, and here, and here, and here, 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 and then close the shape. And then we're gonna use the shape tool to make our curves. So we click on that, pull this down, we'll pull this up and out there and there, bow this guy out and this guy out. There, lovely. Okay, we will go ahead and set this to be the applique material color. Go up to the top, copy and paste to make it the applique position color. Now for our top stitch, though, we don't want to have the satin stitch come down here, because this hair is going to be that top stitch for that. So we want to have just the applique material and position be this whole shape. For the satin stitch, we want it to stop there and there. So we want to cut out this little V here. We don't want the satin stitch going down here. So all we got to do is use the shape tool. Make sure that your object is selected. Click on the shape tool icon, and we'll go ahead and split this part off by right-clicking on this point and choose split line, and then right-click on this point and choose split line. That cuts this V out of it. We'll go ahead and select that in the sequence view and make this blue, and we'll make that a steel stitch. So over here. Wonderful. So that's going to work just fine. Here, let's go ahead and pull this corner in a little bit, though. I notice that's a little off. Lovely. Okay, so next step is gonna be, I think it's gonna be the bottom hair. It's gonna be next. This is what's gonna be next, is we're gonna have it do this material down, and then we'll draw in the satin stitches. So let's go ahead and start doing that. First step is going to be to draw in kind of the overarching shape of it, which we'll just start here. And again, you don't really need to do the super precise curve here. Just kind of trace the outline of the shape using straight lines. If your lines are ugly, it doesn't matter, because they're going to get covered up by much prettier lines. And once you get back to the beginning, hit Shift-C to close your shape. We'll make this the applique material color, make it a run stitch. Good, and then we're going to copy and paste it. So copy and then paste. Make the second one the applique position color. good. And now we need to go and do the top stitch, which is both on the inside and on the outside on this one. So our top stitch is kind of made by a combination of satin stitches going down. And we also want to kind of pay attention to the layering of these, the way that they did these, so that we replicate them exactly. So let's see. This one is kind of butted up against this next one, so I think we're safe starting with this one. And the way we're going to draw these in, we're not actually going to use the satin tool, or the steel tool. We're going to use the satin tool instead of the steel stitch tool, so that we have total control over the width of every part of our design. So this is a little more complicated making a satin stitch this way than using the steel tool, because we have to draw kind of the entire shape, but it gives us more control. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just watch. Use your line tool here, and I'm going to draw this curve in like this. Watch this. Now this might be confusing looking until I finish it, but watch. One click. So what I'm doing is this curve satin stitch. One click here, one click here, one click here, one click back to here, and then close the shape, Shift C. Now, that's not a curve. You're right, but watch this. I use my shape tool, and I can grab this and bow it out to match that perfectly, and bow this to match it perfectly. Always make your satin stitch a little tiny bit wider than it is in the picture when you're drawing a satin stitch like this. And then go ahead and use your select tool. Let's pick a different color for this. What did I do for this? I did cream yellow. We'll do this cream brown color for that. And go ahead and use this tool right here, satin. We're going to left click it, and we're going to draw in what are called our inclinations. This is what direction the stitches are going to go, just like that. Then once you right click, this is where you can put in your stitch start and stop points. This one starts here, stops here. We want it to stop. The next one's going to be this one, so we want it to stop right about there. That's good. Let's right click again, and we see our stitches come in. Now this comes out and makes this kind of flat edge here, and I don't think that is what we really want with this. So we're going to go in and reshape this. Let's see. Let's move our stop point. What we're going to do is we're going to grab this, and we're going to grab this and make it so that it ends flat against here. Then I think what we're going to have to do is actually take this steel stitch and stretch it out so that it underlaps that. There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to look okay. But here we see this traveling stitch. We can still see it. Digitizing can be fiddly. So let's pull this out a little wider. Anyway, you can mess with it until you're satisfied with the way that it looks, of course. But that's pretty much how you do it. You just sit there and eyeball it and say, I think this would look better this way or that way. Anyway, we want our stop point right on the end here, and then we're going to go ahead and start with this one. So let's have this make a traveling stitch from there to there, and we'll have this guy start here. Or do I want to do, how do I want to do this? The next one we'll have it start here, come back up to here. We could, or we could have it, let's have it start up at the top. So we'll make a travel like this. We'll go make a couple of run stitches up to the top of this. Make sure we make it a run. Okay, and then we'll draw in this shape here. Let's see, we'll take it to here, to here, to here, and then close the shape. Use the shape tool and pull out our curve. See, I've got this going flat up against this next one here. that's going to look good. I'm going to make sure we cover up this travel stitch though. Yeah, like that. Okay, and then we make that a satin stitch. So we select it, go down to the satin tool, draw in our stitch directions like that. Okay, our start point should be there, our stop point somewhere down at the bottom. Okay, I think that'll be okay. And again, if we wanted to, we could go in and pull this so that we get it just how we like it. You know, you can sit here and play with it until it looks exactly right to you. And remember, this travel stitch is actually under the applique fabric itself, so you're not going to see this travel stitch here. Alright, so from here we're going to go and do this shape. So we'll have this one, let's have this one travel down and start at the bottom and come up. So we make that a run, and then we're going to get this here, 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 close our shape, use the shape tool, and pull in our curves, making sure that we overlap this guy a little bit. Okay, that looks like it'll be okay. Incidentally, if you want to, you can use the auto satin tool, which is this one. I prefer using the satin tool because I have more control over the stitch directions that way, but you can do it either way. So let's see, we want this one to start here and stop up here. Okay, and then we want to travel up to the top of this so that this one travels all the way down, so that it goes from here down to here instead of starting in the middle and then going both ways. So we want a run stitch from here kind of up to here, make that a run. Okay, and we need to draw in this kind of S shape, so that's going to be a little more complicated than these single curves because we need a point here, need a point here, need a point here, point here, and then where this changes direction here, and then kind of to the other end of, oops, that's not where I meant to go, to about here I think. And then close the shape, Shift C, use the shape tool, and start pulling our curves like that, and then like that, and like that. That's going to look pretty good. Maybe move this over a little tiny bit to make it a little wider. You always want to make your satin stitches a little wider than you think you should, because they do get narrow. When you sew a design out, it ends up sewing out narrower than you think it's going to. Always build in some overlap and always make it a little wider than you think. Okay, like that, and then we'll do a, oh, I hit a run instead of a satin. Make it a satin, put in my stitch directions, just left clicking and dragging to put in these stitch directions. Okay, and our start and our stop already look pretty good. So there's that one. Now this guy here kind of comes down over top of this, so we're gonna skip over this with a run stitch from there to there, and just use the run tool there, and then we'll just do this guy next. And if we look at this, this is kind of a complicated shape here. This really, it starts here and it actually goes all the way around to this. This is all one satin stitch. So, or is it? Am I? Actually, you know what? It goes from here all the way around up to there. It's even more complicated than I thought it was. This is all one shape. So we're going to start it here and take it all the way around. Okay, so this is going to be a real test of my curve drawing skills, my curve visualizing skills. And by the way, if you want to, you can certainly trace stuff like this instead of the way that I'm doing it. You don't get as nice a curves but it works if you're confused by the way that I'm drawing my curves in. But I'm going to keep doing it. All right, so we're going to start here, and then we need one here, and then one here. I'm doing the outside first. So kind of there, 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 and then we just mirror image that. There, 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 and then close that shape. Use the curve tool or the shape tool and start pulling in my curves. Oops. I didn't mean to just add a point there. If you double click, it adds a point. And then I need to move these so that they're overlapping. Okay, that looks about good. Maybe make this a little wider down here. Alright, let's see what happens when we turn it into a satin stitch. What we're going to do is use the satin and then put in our stitch directions. There, there, there. Hey, looks pretty good. Okay, so it starts here, which is where our stop was. Actually, it should be here. And then we need it to actually stop here so that it can then come down and do this last part. So this one's going to be easy. Just bump, 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 bump. Close the shape tool, pull out our curve. Okay, and we'll make that a satin stitch. Put in our inclinations. That's your stitch directions. Have it start there and stop there. That's good. That's it. Cool. So now our whole top stitch is ready to go for this part of her hair. So that's pretty good. Okay. I think next we're going to do the satin stitch that makes up from the top of her ear down to her chin. We put this in 2D, you can see it a little better. See, this is that flesh color from here to here, and then from here around it's the hair color. So we need to draw in this line, and then that's going to be the top stitch for that edge, and then we need to do the rest of the hair up here, which is going to be another whole mess of drawing in these crazy shapes. But you know, I mean, that's what it takes to digitize something like this. When you've got a lot of little complicated things, you want it to look good, you gotta sit there and draw it all, you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this chin here. I think I will do it as with just a steel stitch, and we're gonna draw it in. Let's see, we'll do. Let's get a little closer and see. I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start it here. Go from here to here, and then that's a curve to there, and then basically it's just one big curve over to here. So that should be all that we need. Use the shape tool and pull our curve down. Let's see, we'll make that a little wider and pull it down a little farther. I'm going to make sure that it overlaps everything over here. So we might need to click on a point and manually stretch out one of these sides a little bit, like I just did. But we want to make sure that when we're done here, that everything is overlapped once we make our steel stitch. And if you need to, you can add in another point too. If you just can't get it like this, like if I wanted to, I could just put in another point right here, right click, add point, and then I have a little bit more control over exactly where this line goes. Alright, let's make this curve like that, and then we'll bump this up a little there. We'll see how that does. Actually, you know what? I think this needs to be over a little bit more. Just kind of adjusting these things. Let's I don't like this curve here. Add another point in. Alright, let's see what it does. Touch the steel button down here, and there we go. This is, what color was this? This was this color, the cream yellow. There we go. That's what I've been using for her skin. And let's put it in 3D, see if we can see any gaps. Nope, looks like everything is covered. So that should work just fine, I think. I do think. And then we'll just make sure that we overlap this with this bit when it comes around here, so that you don't see the square edge, and we'll overlap it over here so you don't see the square edge. Okay, that'll work. Turn 3D back off so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Okay, so now we need to put down our applique material and our applique position running stitches for the hair. So we're going to use the line tool for that, and just start wherever. It doesn't really matter. Just stay to kind of the middle of the outline. Use my arrow keys to pan around here. And for this stitch, this is going to be covered up, so it's another one that it just doesn't really matter how well you make your line. Kind of come down here like that. Okay, when you get back to the end, just go ahead and close that shape. Shift-C will do that for you. Okay, we're going to make this a applique material, and then we're going to copy and paste it. Copy and paste. We're going to make that our applique position. Okay, so that's our tack down and our positioning. Both of these need to be a run stitch. We'll select them both and hit the run tool over there. Okay, so now those are stitches. We can put it in 3D so we can make sure that everything looks good, and it does. And now there's nothing stopping us from doing the top stitching next, but again, just like the other part of the hair, it's kind of in sections. So we'll figure out what we want to do first. Let's take a look at the way this is here. Let's see. We've got this one kind of hanging out in space that's got this square edge. That comes down, and it actually comes down and is this. This whole thing is one satin stitch. So I think we'll do that last, because you see how it overlaps all these other guys? We want this to come in and be last, which means that looking at it, we can see that it is overlapping this one, so that means this needs to be second to last, which comes around like this, and then that on top of that. Let's start with this one. So we'll draw, or maybe we'll start with this one. You see how this comes up and kind of butts into this, and then we'll have it overlap that. So we'll have a line come up like this, and then we'll do this one. We'll travel to the next, we'll travel to the next one, and then go from left to right from there, back around, and finish with this. Okay, so you just kind of have to look at it and figure out what needs to be under what else. And if you don't have an existing embroidery design to go from, you just have to kind of experiment. But all right, so we're gonna have this go here, curve down. Actually, no. You know what? Let's start right here. Boom. 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 Close the shape. Shape tool. Let's see. This is that side. This is the inside. Have it butt up against it there. Okay. Make that, let's see, what was her hair color? This one, cream brown. And then satin. Put in my stitch directions. I want it going right up against, like that. Start and stop are good. Okay, there's part one. Now we're going to do this down here. So we're going to go from here to here to here, back down to here. Close the shape, shape tool. And this is going up like that, and this is going out like this. Okay. Cool. Satin. Oop, I hit run. Whoops. Meant to hit satin. So satin. Here we go. And we want our inclinations going like that and like that. And then our start point needs to be there. Our stop point can just be here, and then we'll travel up to this next one. Okay, that looks good. Let's put in a travel stitch from there to there and make it a run. That's going to get covered over by this satin stitch once we put that in. So now our next start is going to be here and come up to this point. So we're going to start right here, and then it curves around to where it changes direction there, and yeah, we'll do one there, and then here and here, kind of come around to here and here, and then let's close the shape, and we'll make that kind of a pointy one. So let's have this curve up and out, there, there. We might need to move this a little bit. Actually, let's add another point here. So that kind of curves up and flattens out right there. And we need to make this wider. Oh, and you know what? I got this curved opposite of the way that it is in the picture. That's going to take another point, or maybe just move this point here, pull that down, and then pull this out. Yeah. Okay, let's see how we can do with this one. And satin stitch. There, there, there. Oh, we want this to come around like this though. Yeah. So that it kind of, the stitches kind of like are like flipping over once they get to that point. And we want it to start here. So I just right clicked once and that lets me adjust my start and stop points. We'll start there and stop there, say. And it's given me this warning, which means that this is not going to work the way that I had done it here. So let's see if we can't fix this. Move the inclination a little bit. There, that time it didn't give me the warning. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Anytime you adjust your inclinations, if it is not going to work, then it'll give you the warning again. But this I think looks a lot better than what I had before anyway. So starts here, travels up to there, and let's take this one. We'll have it have a travel stitch from its stop point over to here, and we'll start this one on this side and come around. So we make that a run. So that's a travel stitch. Okay, and we're going to come around this way. So we're going to draw here. Maybe to here. To here. Here. Then from this side, there. To there. Shift C, close the shape. Alright, this is the top part of this curve. This is the bottom part of this curve. This looks like it needs to be brought over a little bit. Down. You know, I think this might be an unnecessary point. I don't know though. Yeah, okay. Do that. Make this a satin. See what we get. Start it there. Stop it down there. Okay, that looks pretty good, but let's put it in 3D. We can see there's going to be a big gap here. So we need to take this guy. Oops, grabbed the wrong one. We need to take this guy here, and we'll use the shape tool, and let's pull his points over a little bit so that he's completely underneath of the other stitch. There we go. Now that's layered correctly. Okay, so now the next one, we're going to start here and come around to here. Right? So we'll go here, 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 and here. And let's close that shape. Shape tool. This is the top. Oh no, that's the bottom of our curve. That's the top of our curve. And then this bows out this way and this way. Maybe make this a little bit wider. Okay. Take that, make it a satin, and it's going to go like this, 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 something like that. The start point is there, and the stop point right out here is fine. Okay, so that looks good. And again, we've got the same thing where this is kind of, this is going to be a gap, so we need to go ahead and grab that last one and pull his last 2 points out a little bit. You got to move the start point out of the way. There we go. Okay, good. Now that's overlapped. Let's see. We'll do this next one. His stop is currently right there. So let's travel down and have it start from the bottom. So we're going to travel with a run stitch down. Okay. Make it a run. And now let's follow this shape here. We'll go ahead and put in a point right at the apex of the curve. There, 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 there. Close the shape. Shape tool. That's this side of the curve. And that's the inside. That was an easy one. Okay. Select tool. Satin. Put in our stitch directions. And he's starting there, and have it stop here. Okay. And that overlaps the other one nicely already, so that's good. So let's see, we're currently where? We started here, we're stopping here. Oh look, we've only got a couple more segments to go here. Let's have this go and travel back down and then come back around here. So we're gonna line tool to get us back down here, okay, and make that a run. And then satin tool, or not satin tool, line tool, I'm sorry. God, I'm going crazy. Alright, it comes up and around. We'll say there to there, 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 square it off, comes up and around. I'm going to put a point there, and there, and there, and then close the shape, Shift C, shape tool. See, this is this part of the curve, this is the underside of that, this comes down, this comes down, this comes in, this comes actually up a little bit here, and this bows out. Kind of get that little S shape going on there. And this probably needs to move up a little bit. Bow that down. I don't know if I like the way that looks. Maybe put in another point and pull it down from there. Sometimes you just gotta mess with it till it looks right, you know? And I can tell that this is really not up high enough either. Whoops, grabbing the wrong things. See how that's now going to overlap that a little bit more? Of course, I've messed up my shape a little bit more than I meant to. Of course, you could always just, you know, click, 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 click around these to make these. I'm really enjoying the new method of drawing curves, so that's why I'm doing it this way. It's more elegant. Alright, so satin stitch this bad boy in here. And his start point is right. His stop point, we'll put it a little bit closer to here. Okay, and we've got, this is going to be our second to last one from here to here. You see it kind of like starts over here, just a square end hanging out in space, and then comes around. It's going to overlap this. So let's have it travel to the start of that there, make that a run. And then, boy, my hands are getting tired from all this clicking. Here to here. Here. Here, there's the square end there. And then here, here, and then that finishes that end over there. Shift C to close. Shape tool and start pulling out our curves. Okay, this is a little bit too skinny here, so I'm going to move that out. Okay. And use our satin tool. Whoops. Okay. There we go. I notice that this needs to be a little bit farther up because we can see that travel stitch peeking out. Needs to start there and stop there. Okay. And now we need this last one. Gonna go travel up to meet it up at the top where I want the start to be. And then we'll go ahead and do this here to here to here to here because it's got that little bump there. Then that curves around, we'll say to here to here, to here, to here, and there, 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 close the shape. That was a complicated one. If you can follow along with that, you're doing good. Alright, pull that down. We're just pulling out our curves at this point. Okay. Alright, looks legit to me. Satin. Okay. Start there and stop, doesn't really matter, because it's the last element in this section. There we go. Okay, so top stitch for the hair is done. Whoops, didn't mean to go that far. Okay, so that's all the applique parts of this. And the next step is going to be digitizing her eyebrows and her eyes, and nose and the mouth, which is all fairly straightforward stuff. I'm gonna do it, don't worry. But that all the parts that I've done so far, that's what it took to get this fancy top stitch in, instead of just having a border around it, around a shape, acting as the final satin stitch edge, and that's just the way that you have to do it. There's no way to have an automatic tool do that on a complex shape like that. So the applique tool is very cool for doing really simple stuff. Letters and stuff like that, it's great for. But for doing something like this, it's just, you can't use it. You have to do it manually, step by step. So that is what I wanted to show you for the most part for this class. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish her up, because we may as well finish digitizing it. So I'm going to use the magnifying glass and zoom in on the eyebrow here, and we're going to go ahead and just draw. Let's see, kind of comes to a point here, so we're going to have a start there, and then kind of comes in, starts to change direction here, and then we'll go here, here, and then right about there, and then let's close the shape. Shift C, shape tool, pull out this curve, pull out this curve, pull out this curve, and this curve, and that looks like the eyebrow to me. And apparently Elsa dyes her hair because her eyebrows are this light brown color. Boom. And we're going to do her eyebrows as a satin stitch also. So I'm going to put in my stitch directions. Start and stop don't really matter for this. That looks good to me. Do the same thing for her other one. You could copy and paste it and mirror image it if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. Bump, curve to there, and we'll do like a pointed thing just like we had on the other one. There, and up, and there, and there. Shift C to close the shape. Okay, looks good to me. Select tool, satin tool, draw in our stitch directions. Start and stop don't really matter because we're kind of out in the middle of space here. And there's no more brown. Okay, lovely. All right, so that's the eyebrows. Now let's go ahead and do the eyes. Let's see. Oh, looking at the layering, I'm going to say iris, that's the black part, then the blue part, then the white part, then this black part, then the purple. That's what order I'm doing it in. Alright, so for the circle, I'm going to use the auto shapes up here and choose ellipse, which is a fancy way to say circle, or, you know, round thing. Go ahead and drag that in. I'm going to use this shape tool to kind of make it a little bit smaller. Okay. For this, I'm going to do a fill stitch. So fill, standard fill, and make sure you make it black. Okay. That's good. And now we need the blue part of the eye, which I'm going to do a satin stitch. So just like what we've been doing this whole time, here, and then that curves around to here, curves around to here. Close the shape. And we'll pull that one down, and we'll pull that one down. Make sure it overlaps the black. And it does. Okay. Let's go ahead and make this the same blue as her dress to save colors. And satin. Boom, boom, boom. Looks great. The white part of the eye is next. Do the same thing and make sure we overlap that blue. Boom, curves around to here, curves around to here. Close the shape with Shift C. Pull out our curves, making sure that it overlaps. It's got to overlap or this eye is not going to look right. Okay, and satin tool, hit the select tool, satin tool, boom, boom, boom. Forgot to make it white, so we're going to have to make sure we do that. And white. Okay, lovely. And then we're going to actually go in and put, if we put this in out of 2D, we see there's this little bit of white in here. I'm just going to go ahead and grab the manual stitch tool and just draw in some stitches here. Bump, 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 bump. Tiny areas. I like to actually use the manual stitch a lot of the time. That's going to look good. Alright, and next is going to be this, which you could make it not black if you want. I'm going to go ahead and make it black though. Let's see, we'll do start it here, curve to here, curve to here, curve to here, or that's not a curve, and then curve to here. I'm going to do this in 2 pieces, and then close the shape, Shift C, boom, pull this guy out there, this guy out there, this guy out there. That looks pretty good. Okay, we need to make this black, and we're going to make it a satin. We also want it to start down here and stop up here, because the next one comes off that way. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing here, to here, to here, to here, making sure that we overlap everything with this one. So like all these colors here are getting overlapped by this. A little bit of black here, and make sure we do the satin stitch. Bump, bump, bump. Eyes are very important. They are what make a face come alive. So you want to make sure you do a good job on your eyes. Okay, here to here, we're doing the purple now. Here, around to here. Close the shape, and oh yeah, shape tool. There, there. Okay, make that like a lavender. Satin. Put in the inclinations. That's a good looking eye. Alright, so we've got that, and basically this whole thing we can just copy and paste and put that on our other eye. So we'll just go in and select everything that's in the eye. Starts with this black circle. Move the scroll down in the sequence view down to the bottom. Hold down Shift and click the last piece, which is this purple eyeliner. And then we're going to do a copy and a paste. We're going to do a flip horizontal, and then left click and drag it into place. Boom, 2 eyes. Alright, now we've got the nose. I'm terrible at drawing noses. We're going to do this with a, you can't even really see it in this image, which is great. But we're going to do it with a steel stitch, a narrower steel stitch than what we've been doing before. So boom, let's say it curves out like that, and then out again, and then out again. kind of like this, like this, like this for the nose. That's going to be the skin color, which is cream yellow, and make it a steel. We'll go ahead and make this, instead of 2.5, we'll make that 1.5 millimeters. Okay, good enough for me. And last part is the lips. So let's see, we'll go kind of click, click. We're going to do the lips in two pieces, curve up here, here, and then we'll have them kind of go curve from here to here. So let's close this shape. Why did I put this point in here? Messed everything up. Alright. That'll work. Let's make it lilac, same color as the eyeliner. She's wearing matching makeup. Satin. Bam, bam, bam. And start here, curve around. I'm gonna go ahead and just put one there. 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 That, and like that, and like that, and like that. Same thing. Purple satin. There, and there, and there. Lovely. Okay, so there you go. Now, I am going to show you a sample now of what this looks like when it's sewn out, once I'm done talking here. But just an overview of how one would actually sew this thing out. I'm going to hide my backdrop so we see just the design here. So how this would sew out. Let's go ahead and just use the stitch simulator. All right, it sews out. Oh, hang on. We got something somewhere that I didn't turn into a stitch at some point. Something still artwork. And it is these two. I never made a run stitch. So let's make sure we make them a run stitch. That's a helpful thing, by the way. If you run out the stitch simulator, anything that's still artwork stays in place. Okay, so anyway, let me stop this. So from the top, here's how this design sews out. We start out, we've got our fabric just hooped up. We're ready to start embroidering. So we sew out the first color, and then we stop. The machine will stop automatically. Now we're going to take our fabric that we're using for her skin and lay it down over top of this. Sew out the next color. Straight stitch right in the same spot. Okay, now we're going to take our hoop off our machine. There's going to be the fabric that we're using for her skin sewn to the fabric that you're sewing the design onto. Take your applique scissors and carefully trim along this edge. All the way along until just the raw edge of the fabric is visible, right? Next color. Puts down our top stitch in those two spots. Okay, next. It sews out the next color. It'll stop. You put your blue fabric down. Let it go. Tacks down the blue fabric. Oops. And then you trim the outside edge, and then you let it do this satin stitch as the next color. And that finishes the outside edge of the blue. So on and so on. Every time it gets to one of those applique material, applique position things, that's when you know it's time to take your fabric and put it down. So right here, you put the fabric down, tacks it down, comes and does the top stitch. This is it doing the top stitch, and we pathed this just perfectly so that it all sews in one continuous line. Least amount of chances for the thread to break or give us any guff, because we put in those traveling stitches, so it just never stops, never slows down. There's that big complicated one. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And this is covered by the fabric, by the way. Kind of a pointy ear, like she's an elf. But anyway, you get the idea. So now it's putting that down. Now put the hair fabric down, tacks it down, and then it starts putting the top stitch down. Okay, so that's how an applique works on one of these, on an embroidery machine. If you don't understand how that all works, but anyway, that's it. I know this is a long video, so if anybody actually made it through to the end, congratulations. Thanks for watching. See you next time.